This is the Best of the Week on Relevant Radio.
My goal is to help 1 million Catholics get back to the church through spiritual fasting, lose weight, find food and alcohol freedom, and reignite their faith through fasting. With spiritual fasting, you will be decreasing in self-reliance and physical weight while you increase in virtue, in love of God, and humility.
The Drew Mariani Show on Relevant Radio.
Yeah, that was my next guest, Beth Bubick. She wrote a book called Delay and Pray. I stumbled across, actually, one of my colleagues, Maggie Carosa, gave it to me. She says, you got to check this out. And I thought, oh, wow. And I was going through it, and I thought, what a perfect time to talk about it today is, man, we need it. You take a look at the spiritual and the moral confusion, you need it. What's remarkable, and I love this, are how fasting and the right type of diet can work together to make your body more resilient, but also help you burn fat. And I want to talk about that because scientists have found these medical benefits have been overlooked for many years. Blood pressure, cholesterol levels improve when you fast. They say that when you fast between 2 and 4 days, you can also reset your immune system. They can detoxify your body. You can help deplete those stores of fat. I've got to break my sugar addiction because I do love a little sugar, a little dark chocolate, right? Get that out of the system with fasting. It's always good. Help cleans your body out when you fast of toxins, and there's so many good benefits to it. Let me welcome Beth Bubick. She has discovered these benefits to fasting. Has also found that fasting can lead to permanent weight loss while also improving your prayer life. So why not use this to amplify your prayer and at the same time fit into those genes you've been wanting to get into, right? You can learn more at CatholicFastingCoach.com. Beth, good to have you with me today. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Drew, for inviting me. It's an honor to be here.
Well, it's an honor to talk to you. I love your book, by the way. It's an easy read. I think you're onto something here for sure. I've been a big believer in fasting for a long time, spiritually, and I've seen the benefits of it, physically. What's your story? How did you discover the benefits of fasting? Everybody has their own story.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love everything you just said. And the thing is, I would try a long time ago to fast, go an entire day with just water, and I couldn't do it. And I was thinking, what is wrong with me? I guess I'm just made this way. And then what happened is I entered a life coach school called the Life Coach School, and I learned about sugar and flour and how it raises the insulin levels in our system. And when that happens, basically it's all about insulin. It's not about calories as much. And so you're used to sugar burning. And when that's happening and your body does not want to go to fat burning, it's very, very difficult. And so what happened was I learned all of the facets. It was like 2019, I believe. I got certified in 2020 as a life coach and learned that sugar, flour, and alcohol raise your insulin levels to the point where it's almost impossible to fast. And so I got coached and I loved it. And then I became a certified coach through that school. But then there was something missing about delaying sugar, flour, and alcohol. And actually, it wasn't about delaying. The Life Coach School was eliminating it. And I still didn't do that, even with the coaching. So then I joined Metanoia Catholic and got a Catholic mindset coaching certificate. And that was the missing piece. It was the body, soul piece. I knew there was something there that I needed to know, and it was about God. And I realized we could delay sugar, flour, and alcohol during the week and then feast on it on Sundays. And when I say feast, we kind of have to redefine what feast is. So it's not a binge. It's just having a small amount. And so it's an eat, fast, feast cycle is what I teach. And we eat on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, fast on Wednesdays and Fridays, and feast on Sundays, all around the church here. And so not only is it wonderful for biology and neurology, but it literally, is wrapped around the theology, the virtue, and the vice. And so it's both body and soul related. And we ditch the diet mentality because the diet mentality is about just us, and spiritual fasting and doing this is about others. So love others and pleasing God. So it's amazing.
Well, I love it, and it's so true. I mean, I think, Satan is how to get us through our weakness and through our attachments. And if he controls through our food or if those appetites for alcohol, sugar, whatever it may be, then he can get us in other ways. But if you can conquer your appetite through fasting, you can also conquer him, I believe, spiritually. And I do see these things as going hand in hand. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And we are called to be good stewards of that as well. So amplify your prayer, work on your spiritual life, and also help yourself stay healthy. I want to talk about some of the health benefits of this. Nick and I were talking beforehand. I'm just curious, I'm a man, you're a woman. Should men and women fast differently? Is it different for us? Because, my wife has said, she's tried fasting, not just for the spiritual life, but personally, and she says, I don't see the same benefits of it physically that you do. I mean, when I fast, I can really see the fruit of it in a physical way. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I can definitely say that there's obviously men have different bodies than women. Totally. We have cycles, you don't for the most part. But I coach mostly women. And basically, you can see huge benefits in fasting. But the main part is to deal with the sugar and the flour and the ultra-processed foods. Those are the items that will be raising your glucose in your bloodstream, which basically is, your pancreas. When that happens, and the pancreas releases all that insulin, and that's a fat storage hormone. And then basically, you want to decrease the glucose in your bloodstream that way. Yeah. And then the insulin directs the excess into our cells, and then that can be used immediately for energy or stored as basically glycogen in your liver and muscles. Okay, so what's cool about this is so you eat, and if you're raising your insulin a lot, and it can even be, people think it's just like candy bars. Right. And those are not great at all. But it can also be oatmeal. It's like different for different people in different bodies, not just men and women, but different bodies. How
do you determine that then? I mean, say you love oatmeal. I'm just thinking, I'm trying to lose weight. That's a healthy choice to lower one's cholesterol. Next thing you know, it's putting weight on you.
Well, that's the beauty of the scale. So basically, the scale is a beautiful thing. We as women have kind of been taught that it's tied to our worth. So like a certain weight and I'm worthy, I like myself, I'm skinny. That has to be thrown out the window. Right. And basically it's just a data machine. That's all it is. It's just telling you, it's actually, blood work is better, measurements are better, but it's actually one of those very easy data machines where you can just sit up, you can basically step on there and see how much you weigh to see how the food is really affecting your system. So, it'll be like all these different types of food. And the problem with the food as well is we're eating too much. So in the system I just described, so you're eating, you've got the glucose in your bloodstream, the insulin's coming out, taking care of it because there can only be so much in your bloodstream at one time. It stores it in your liver and your muscles. Okay, and then when you don't eat for a while, then the body has to go get some of that energy, right, to burn. Well, when you deplete your liver and your muscles, the glycogen out of there, then it's got to go to your fat stores. Yeah. And that can actually be kind of painful. It can sit you in a place of discomfort because you're really hungry. And at first, I don't know if this happened to you when you started fasting, but at first you're really kind of hangry. You're hungry. You're like, oh my gosh, I want to eat.
Yeah, no kidding.
You'll figure it out.
You know what I find hard too, because I mean, when I fast, right? Say my last meal will be, I don't know, 6 o'clock at night, right? I'm done dinner, 6:30, whatever it is. Okay, so I'm going to go 24 hours. Maybe I'll go 36, and that's what I like to do. Ideally, I like to do a 36-hour fast. By the time the dinner rolls around the next day, let's say my last meal was today, by tomorrow at 5, I want to eat my hand, right? I'm just so hungry. If I can push through and not give in to eat dinner, well, the next day, it's like, it's so easy. I could probably go 48 hours if I wanted to. It seems like that moment of difficulty has passed. Part of the problem for me, though, as a broadcaster, my show is 3 to 6 Eastern, noon to 3 on the Pacific time zone. So right in the middle of that day, that 2 to 5 time, I need to have heightened focus. And when I'm fasting, sometimes the blood sugar can drop. So what advice would you give to somebody who's got to work and be productive and yet fast? Does the acuity clarify? Does does the landscape clear when one fasts? Or do you have to deal with that blood sugar drop?
Okay, so one of the things I want to tell you is that this is basically I'm going to be going on the 5th year of my business, because before I wrote a book, I started a coaching business and I have a course. And I really have never done like a 72-hour fast. I've done 1 or 2 42-hour fasts. I've done a couple 24-hour fasts, but my sweet spot is a 16-8. So Drew, I only fast 16 hours and eat in an 8-hour window. If I really want to go to a fast, then I do a 20-hour fast with a 4-hour eating window.
Wow.
But I just want people to know out there that you don't fast, 24, 36, 72
That's
hours.
true.
You can actually get the autophagy benefits at a 16. And what happens is you don't get that drop in blood sugar then. Autophagy, there's a lot of studies on it. There's a lot of information online. And basically, some of the latest studies, especially by Dr. Casey Means and Dr. Mindy Pels, these are like the most recent ones that I've seen. You can actually go into autophagy, which is the body's way of cleaning out damaged cells. It's all about mitochondria and inflammation, right? So we want to stop eating for a while so that we can regenerate newer, healthier cells for ourselves. And that's basically what the process is. And that's the goal, is to stop eating for a while, as I said before. But what hinders us from doing that is this addiction to sugar. And I kind of put sugar, flour, and alcohol and processed food all together as sugar, because all of those things basically raise the glucose in your bloodstream, which then gives that insulin response that I was talking about. It's all about insulin. And we have a huge diabetes problem in all over the world. I used to say United States, but it's everywhere now. And so we really have to kind of look at our consumption of this sugar, flour, and alcohol. So when I'm talking about sugar, basically what happens is when you ingest a lot of sugar, especially like every day and throughout the day, then that creates an over desire. And that over desire creates over hunger. And then when you have that, it creates overeating, and then the cycle goes around. And what I discovered is this is a threefold process. It's biology, it's neurology, and it's theology. It's biology because when you are increasing the sugar, flour, and alcohol, what happens is that glucose increases, the insulin increases, and then you have the increase of ghrelin, which is a hormone that tells you that you're hungry. And when that increases, then you're never satiated. So you're just always hungry. And you'll find this if you're eating a lot of pasta and you're like, wow, I could just eat pasta all day. Well, you could, because your ghrelin is saying, sure, do it, because we are still hungry after the whole bowl. Okay. And then what happens is
I had it for breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other hunger hormone that I like to talk about in the book is leptin. And that's the hormone that tells you you're full. And when you have a lot of insulin in your blood, it basically turns off at your brain. It's switched off. And so you never feel full. And it's also your movement hormone that says, go move. And then that's switched off. So if people are wondering why, when I eat all this sugar and flour, I'm never full and I want to go to the couch, that's why. And then that is the tie to neurology then, is it's this dopamine hit that you're getting all the time.
Yeah.
And once you start that, your brain says, oh, I love that. Let's keep doing that. That's great.
Wow.
And so you just keep getting these dopamine hits, and then your brain has a pattern. So then where does theology come in? So theology comes in because you can see when you're overeating, and you're having this over desire for these foods, you can increase in sloth. Okay. And so that is laziness, because you can't move. And so you feel like you can't do anything. And then gluttony, of course, because that's overconsumption. So that's how that's tied in. But then if you go to what I call a virtue cycle and you delay the sugar, flour, and alcohol, what happens is you get this, it's a little bit difficult, but I tell you how to do it. You get some true desire for Jesus Christ. Okay. So that's what's happening, because you go to prayer. And as a Catholic, when you are in discomfort, we go to prayer, we go to the rosary, go to the sacraments, fill ourselves with grace. And then what happens is we get into ordered eating, and then the ordered eating goes to eating to enough. And then pretty soon we have this cycle going. So what happens here? Well, as we decrease our sugar, flour, and alcohol, then our glucose, insulin, and ghrelin decrease, okay, so that you're full. Mm-hmm. And then as your insulin decreases, your leptin goes up, which says I'm full and we should go move. And then that leads to diligence, which is hard work. It's the opposite of sloth. And then temperance, which is moderation, opposite of gluttony. So it's a really cool symbiotic thing that's happening here. Awesome. And unfortunately, we are addicted to sugar, flour, and alcohol. Yeah. And if we just pull back a little bit, then we can get on a journey to sainthood by doing that.
I love it, Beth. I want to get people connected to your book. Is the best place your website, CatholicFastingCoach.com, or where can they get it?
The CatholicFastingCoach.com with a TH the beginning, that's okay. But just remember, delay and pray. You can Google Delay and Pray on Amazon. My book is Delay and Pray. The course is called Delay and Pray. It's all about delaying and praying. So I call it losing 10 pounds of weight to gain 10 pounds of faith.
I love it. Delay and Pray. Just do a quick search for that. The author, Beth Bubik, B-U-B-I-K. I'm Drew Mariani. Count on my prayers. And please, say one for me. Have a great day.
Hey, like what you just heard? Then share it with your family and friends. And thanks for listening.